Is the NAS market dying? Welcome back to the Raid Room, the video series where we take a subject in the world of data storage and then pull it apart at the seams. No B-roll, no cuts, no edits, it's just you and me chewing the fat. And frankly, I have never seen a messier year in the world of network attached storage than 2026 so far. Even if we just step away, and we'll come back round to it, hard drives and SSDs and RAM suddenly becoming costing you an arm and a leg. But on top of that, frankly, the NAS market seems to be cannibalizing itself. The way we're seeing the moves by a lot of the prominent NAS brands and hardware vendors in general around the world of NAS is almost like we've reached capacity and the market is now sort of trying to eat itself. So, for example, we have brands like Synology that have seemingly, taken their foot out of the pool of home, consumer, and even light to prosumer, and is focusing so heavily on business that they are obsessed with attacking NetApp and Dell and brands like that are pure Surface solution providers. At the same time, we have a brand like UniFi that for the longest time, UniFi users, Ubiquiti hardware users I should say, that with their UniFi hardware were using third-party NAS hardware, and then they have started rolling out numerous examples of their NAS solution portfolio, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be easing off anytime soon. Then you have brands like QNAP that are slowing down releases little by little, and at the same time, you have traditionally, known open source brands like TrueNAS that people have used on their own hardware that not only is starting to make a lot of their builds go into closed behind doors build rather than the open community they were using before, but alongside that, starting to have a paid entry level model in the integration of something like Hex OS. Then you have 45 drives. 45 drives for the longest time that was traditionally just a hardware vendor that also had their own OS. They rolled with it with Houston eventually. But then they started rolling in Proxmox with their Proxinators, and now with the Signature series, rolling in with Unraid. Unraid, which was traditionally a software-only platform, is more and more making itself more readily available to hardware vendors. And then, this isn't even get into the madness that is the growing, and by growing, I mean exploding, Chinese NAS scene, where everyone and his mum is rolling out with a hardware NAS with their own bespoke OS on board. UnifyDrive, UGREEN, Minis Forum, Rico, the list goes on and on. There is so much going on, but yet there's no drives to put in these systems, and it is making people not shop. And at first, the worries were hardware shortages, semiconductors, helium as well with drives. And then, Neon, let's not forget Neon and Russia-Ukraine conflict. But then we move on to AI sucking all the storage media, resulting in hard drive manufacturers now starting to thin out their ranks in available storage. So, 1 and 2 TBs, kiss those goodbye. But then the prices are going up 20-30% across the board. And that's if you can get hold of the sodding things. So the result is that even if you want a NAS, a NAS forms the smallest percentage of the overall spend or the total cost of ownership, TCO. If you're buying a 4-bay NAS and you're putting 4 TB drives in it, 4 TB drives are now going for about $130, $140 each. That means by buying 4 of them, you are knocking on the door of between 500 to 600 nicker on a NAS that you might have only spent 300 or 400 quid on. So a lot of people are waiting for this to blow over. And then once you introduce that tariff nonsense that's never really gone away, but it's never been confirmed, there's just so many people sitting on the fence and waiting for things to blow all over. Sadly, it hasn't blown over. And the knock-on effect has been that we're starting to see brands delay. I can't go into precise details, but one of the brands that we talk about prominently here on the channel has effectively delayed their entire 2026 lineup to Q4 this year and Q1 of next year because there's just no point releasing it. And the problem is all of the research and development, all of the work that goes into and testing and refining, everything from humidity test to power test to shear component testing, QC and QA that goes into the development and launch of a product will be pointless if no one's going to buy it. Towards the end of 2025, did you guys notice how particularly good the Black Friday sales were? Did you see that? The deals during Black Friday of 2025 were bonkers. Now, the reason for that was it was a bunch of brands that had just had stale stock that no one was buying for one reason or another. I'm looking at you, Synology, with that hard drive stuff, and all of a sudden they went Cocoa for Cocoa Pops on the deals. But you also had brands that had sitting stock, and they could see how bad next year or 2026 was going to look because of the AI boom. And the result was they needed funds, they needed reserves. And right now, the remaining products, the brands are sitting on stock a lot longer because they still haven't reaped the ROI, return on investment, of what's gone into the development of those products. So my original question was, is NAS dying? And if things don't change, yeah, it is. Because the true threat to NAS has never, ever been DAS or traditional storage. They're two different mediums. It's like, will cars threaten bikes and bikes threaten cars? They are two different industries, as it were. But cloud, which has better buying power, so all of these data centers, your Googles, your Microsofts, and whatever, and your Amazon, of course, these are getting the drives cheaper than anywhere else, even in an AI landscape. But it isn't just the price, they are actually getting allocated availability. So they are able to allow users to buy time. They are allowing users who were thinking of moving away from cloud to remain on cloud. And as AI has entered, and let's be honest, AI can be useful. It can be very useful in a non-generative replace a human sense. But it can be, it is a very useful tool for most of us. And the thing is, that convenience, that drive, much like the Wild West days of the internet, has drawn people in, and it generates a lot of data. So a lot of people are already paying for a cloud subscription with AI functionality. I'm looking at you, Google. The result is the drive and the appeal of moving from cloud to NAS is waning for a lot of people. Now, obviously, as some YouTube knobber that talks about NAS, am I talking about this like it's an existential crisis for the channel? I'm not. I could talk about lots of things data, it's a lot of fun. But I'm nonetheless depressed beyond measure that we've seen such incredible growth towards private data ownership and on-prem storage, and all of the benefits of the rent versus buying a house argument that we've talked about for years when you compare cloud to local storage. I hate to see this world of network attached storage start to wane for no reason other than extenuating external factors, from regional tax to shortages caused by military conflict, and of course the AI sucking the air out of the room, and large-scale investment in AI needing to be doubled, trebled and quadrupled down upon. But what do you guys think? A lot of people said that NAS was dead just before the pandemic, but it's still here. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching the Raid Room, and I'll see you next time.